So I have to admit that I was just playing with something new before this that was really excited me. Um, and maybe you guys have already done something like this, and I'll share with you what I've done in the past. But I think this thing that I stumbled upon the other day, and I finally had some time to play with it, is going to make it much warmer to new students in the fall. I'll go ahead and share that I use Google Classroom very heavily. I used it very heavily before this quarantine, even though I saw my students every single day. Everything that we did was based out of Google Classroom. And so when a lot of people hear that, they think, oh, your kids must be on their computer all day staring at a screen. That's terrible. And a lot of parents actually would express like concern about that. Like everything you do is online. But, it was a home base. Like that's where all of our resources were. But it doesn't mean that we weren't collaborating and like, yeah, we were looking at stuff online and then we would build something or, work on a group presentation, but now, of course it's all on the computer, but I've always used it. So I've just had to, my kids, it was kind of an easy transition for them. But what I would do is every single day, and this is when we were in school, every single day when they walk in, their warm up or their do now was log into Google Classroom. So get your Chromebooks. I had a Chromebook for everybody. Get your Chromebook, log into Google Classroom, look at today's announcement, and there might have been like a traditional do now on there for them, but usually them just logging in, checking their email, because the other classes they weren't necessarily set up like that. So they would log in, make sure there wasn't an email they needed. That was kind of their warm up. And then hopefully by the time I was ready to get started, they were already at the announcements. And when I was, getting ready to be started, I would say, did you guys go to your stream? Go to your stream, and any resources they need for the day would be in that day's announcement. And so they were my do now or my agenda. Most people would write it on the board before. Now mine's in Google Classroom. And so what's nice about that is if they were absent or, if they were sick or they just slacked off in class, or if their parents want to make sure they're doing their work, they could always go to Google Classroom and see what they did. The only downfall to that is students automatically, I think it defaults to them getting an email anytime I post anything. So if there was an assignment that needed to be completed somewhere where they would turn it in on Google Classroom, they would get an email saying Ms. Rutledge uploaded an assignment. If I made an announcement, they would get an email. So what happened is they would have like 30 emails from me like in a week. That's probably an exaggeration. So they start to ignore my emails. So I feel like that was kind of a downfall to that. So however, when I'm in the classroom with them, I'm very verbal, and I have lots of, just verbal reminders, and it seemed to work really well. However, in the quarantine, I knew that they were already kind of immune to my emails, which I kind of have a problem with that, but I'm still trying to figure out the workaround. They would have to go in their settings and make it so that they don't get an email notification from me every time I do anything. But I kind of don't want them to do that, So what I did was I changed how I did things to weekly. So usually Sunday, but I guess I could have done it Monday morning. I would have an announcement post that had their agenda for the entire week. And so they would have, I would say, this week we're going to be studying this topic. Monday, this is your task. Tuesday, this is your task. Wednesday, this is your task. And then I created an assignment where they could turn everything in one spot. So they were only getting like one email from me, but there might have been like 4 things that they had to turn in that week, but they turned it all in the same spot. And I got so much great feedback from parents because they actually knew what their kids were supposed to be working on. And I don't mean to speak ill of any of my colleagues. They're fabulous. They weren't teaching the same way I was teaching before. So there's a huge learning curve. And not that they're not awesome teachers, they're fabulous. But the feedback as we're filling out our end of year reports, it's not a grade, it's not a number grade. Instead, we're giving them very descriptive feedback, how they did in many different categories of like behavior, work habits, participation, what's their content level understanding. So, even the kids that were doing really well before the quarantine, when it came to the quarantine and everything was digital, a lot of them just stopped or were inconsistent. And the parents had no idea. and we weren't allowed to bombard them with phone calls because they were overwhelmed. However, so they kind of stopped for math, they kind of stopped for reading and PE, and but for my class, they stayed very consistent. And so even my kids that don't do a lot, my kids that have always, all of them, there was only a few that just completely fell off the grid, but for the most part, social studies is where their parents were like, well, I understand what they're supposed to do, so I can help stay on top of them. So I think we need to just kind of streamline it, and maybe just post something for the week that they can complete at their own pace, but have a guide or like an idea. Maybe you should work on this on Monday and then probably do this on Tuesday. I kept it to about a half an hour of work a day for social studies too. The way that our school is set up, they take 4 classes at a time. It doesn't matter if it's an elective or whatever, they treat it as an equal. So PE is just as important as math, and but they only take 4 classes at a time. So I know I saw a lot of other schools around the country in our social studies network group, like saying they can only do like 15 minutes of social studies like every other day, but I was allowed to do more. So we did like a half an hour a day, which is much less than I would give them. They completed a lot less than I would give them in the classroom. But I can go ahead and show you guys like how I do a lot of those things and how I keep it organized so that the kids always know where to find things. And I can show you guys that. I plan to. But before I do, is there anything in Google Classroom that you guys really want to see that you just haven't been able to wrap your head around yet?
So I do not use Google Classroom yet. I use a lot of the other elements of the suite. We don't have it yet, but we're supposed to be piloting it next year. So I'm going to be doing the course. So if you could just show me like what your homepage or what a dashboard looks like, that would be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Anybody else? Okay. So if you've been using Google Classroom, when I'm showing that beginner, it might be kind of like beginner, but as we get into it, if you see something that you want more detail on, I can definitely show you. And I want to show you what I was working on today, which it may be old news, but for me it's not. So I was excited about it. So let me share my screen. I'm just going to share my whole screen. So forgive me if something pops up. All right, you guys can see my Google Drive right now, correct? Can you guys see like everything okay? I think. Okay. I'm assuming that's, yeah, I can't hear anybody.
Yes.
Okay, good. I think it's all thumbs up. So I'm not sure how much you guys know, but I always tell my students, and when I'm showing teachers, like the first thing you want to do to access the Google Suite is to look in the upper right-hand corner. I call it the dots. Some people call it a waffle. I don't know, but I click on that, and then I've got, let me move this up, all your faces out of the way. So we've got all of our options for G Suite, and my options might look a little bit differently. It kind of caters to, what you use the most. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Google Classroom right now. This is my home page for Google Classroom. This little box of your guys' heads. I haven't used Zoom in a while. We've been using Google Meet. So give me just a second. Let me try to move that. I don't know if I can make it smaller. I'll just kind of tuck it away. Okay, so this is my dashboard. I've got 3 classes. So I've got, 3 different blocks of social studies. I also do NHD. So my kids that were competing for that, I've got a room for them. And then this is just a teacher that I'm helping with Google Classroom. So we can kind of ignore her, love her, but we'll ignore her today. So I'm going to go ahead and click on, well, this is the dashboard. So if you want to create a class, if you've never created a class, you would start with this little plus sign right here in the upper right-hand corner. It's so intuitive. That's why I love Google Classroom. It's just, I mean, what else would you click on? You click on that plus sign because you want to add something. So as a teacher, you would create a class. Students would click join class after you've done your class. So I'm going to go ahead and just create like a mock class so you can see how to go about that. So I'm going to call this test class, and you can put like, you have them second period, your subject is social studies. I'm just going to abbreviate, but you guys can put, whatever subject you want to call it. Oh, it looks like there's options to choose from. I'm just going to pick one. Okay. So you don't have to fill out all of those. You can. I'm going to go ahead and hit create. So here is my classroom. Well, it's thinking. Might be kind of slow. Okay, so this would just be like a stock classroom. And then it's just like Facebook. So anything that you post here on the stream, you can see up at the top is the stream. The newest stuff is going to be at the top. And so my kids always know when they come in the classroom, check the stream and see what we've got on the agenda. And then you can create classwork by going to classwork and hitting create. You can create an assignment. You can create a discussion question for kids to answer and respond to each other. You might just have something you want them to look at, something that you want them to be able to access many times, so you can create material that way. Maybe you have an old post that you've used like last year and you don't want to recreate it. You can reuse an old post. So if I go to reuse a post, I can find the class that I've taught that subject in the past. I'm trying to think. My computer's being slow today. Well, I'll go ahead and go to one of my classes. So if I want to go back to my dashboard, maybe I have multiple classes, and I want to go back to my dashboard I would just click on classes to see all of my options. I'm going to go ahead and open a class that I already have built so you guys can see what it would look like once you start adding things, which is very intuitive to be able to add something, but if you're not sure, let me know and I can walk you through how to add it. All right, so this is, like I said, we just finished up, and so there are just some random things on there, but I wasn't like posting something on there every day, but this was just kind of reminders. Hey, don't forget to turn this stuff in, check your answers here this way. But if I scroll down to some older posts, you can see that I have things kind of by week. Here we go. So April 20th, welcome back. This is after spring break. And then I've got what I wanted to do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And this is just an announcement. This isn't where they're going to turn it in. This is just what's in the stream to let them know this is what we've got going on this week. But then it says everything that you need to complete these assignments can be found in your Unit 5 folder in our Google Classroom classwork. And then I always like to post the chat where we met every day. You can't post that too many times because they'll always ask you for it if it's not the first thing on the feed. So if I go, there's their stuff. There's everything that they need to complete this week. And then I reminded them, and I also send this to all the parents too. So they have it, and that seemed to be very effective. If they look in their Unit 5 folder in our Google Classroom. So I'm going to go to classwork where I told them to go, and you can see everything is organized by topics. Here's all of my topics. So I've got Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4, Unit 5. I need to go to my Unit 5 for this week. And when I open it, I'll have everything that we studied in Unit 5. And I actually have it assigned by weeks. So I've got the week of April 6th here, everything that they need to complete. This one would be the week of April 20th. We had spring break. And then this one, that was just a quiz that I posted for them at the end of the week. And then this would be the last, let's see, I want to say I titled it no, that was like a special week. Okay, so, but I usually have it just by week so the parents could help keep it organized. Now, let me show you something here. Remembering Anne Frank. Okay, so here's a weekly agenda. We'll look at April 20th, like I told the kids to look at. And then everything that they need to be able to complete all of the assignments for each day is included in this assignment. And then I can, let's see, I want to view the assignment so you guys can see what it looks like from my perspective. Let me just maybe open it. Okay, so you can see that I've got everyone's work. Not everyone completed everything, but I've got everyone's work is attached. So even if they forget to hit turn in and it says it's missing, anything that they did complete is attached. They can, and speak up if you end up having a question. That way, if they do partial work, I can still see what they did complete. So by doing it this way so that everyone gets a copy of it automatically, no matter what, even if they don't finish, even if they forget to hit turn in, I've pretty much eliminated zeros when we're in the classroom, because I can say, hey, I'm looking at your attachment right now. It's still not started. You're not leaving my classroom until it starts, But at home, I did have some kids that didn't end up doing anything on each of the attachments, but at least it's attached. And then I have the evidence there for the parents so I can show them they did nothing on this worksheet. It's not like it just got lost or something like that. So I can click on anyone's student work. Let me see. This one's probably awesome. She's a good kid. So when I'm assigning things, especially if it's on Google Slides, I like to put the instructions, either in the speaker notes or something so that they know what to do. But this was like a completely blank notebook with just questions at the top. And so this student did a really good job completing the entire notebook, like a digital worksheet. I'm going to close out her work, and I'm going to go to a student that probably didn't do anything. So you can see how blank it is. This is what it looked like when I sent it out. Oh, no, never mind. She did. Do you see the difference in the effort? So she did complete it, but it was very, not creative. I asked them to make it creative, add pictures to show their understanding, but she did complete it. So I can see that she's doing like the bare minimum. Yeah, so that's good. But then let me see, is there anyone that didn't do it at all? This one probably didn't do it at all. I think this kid didn't have internet access, so he did his stuff on paper. But you can see what it looks like when I first sent it out. And so even if they don't do it, it's still attached. So I have the documentation that shows that they didn't do it. So I'm going to show you guys how I did that. So if I go to instructions, here's my instructions. I'm going to go to edit. All right, so I've got my agenda on here. I titled my assignment. I think it's a really good idea during this quarantine to put the date of the assignment in the title so that they know they're in the right spot. And then if you're needing to differentiate, like if you have English language learners or someone with an IEP that, or a PEP, you can choose who gets this assignment. This particular class I gave to everybody. But I could just say, I only want this student and this student to have it, and then I'll create a different version with some modifications for my students that need those. Okay, so we weren't allowed to grade anything. Everything's ungraded, but you can assign it points. I'm hoping that we'll be able to do that later. So I could change this to 100 or however many points it's worth. Always assign a due date because it gives them reminders. When they log into Google Classroom, it'll say, hey, this is coming up due. And so always assign a due date. But this is the secret. This is what's going to make everything so much more organized and easy for your students to see if you use topics. So I already have all these topics created, but let's say I'm starting a new unit. I can create a topic and call it, Unit 8 or whatever it is. But I'm going to show you why that's important. If you go to my Google Classroom, go to classwork, you can see it's like I tell students, this is your digital binder. And so when you guys were in school, you had a math section, you had a reading section, you had a science section. This is your binder. This is your social studies binder. And if you, want to get together with all your teachers and have one Google Classroom, that would require a lot of teacher collaboration. But you could have like a math topic, a reading topic, but I work on my own mostly. So I've got a homework folder. I've got, a Unit 1 folder. This is everything. And I tell them when they're like, Miss Rutledge, will you be sending home a study guide for my child before the test? I say, no, I won't. They can study everything in their Unit 1 folder and everything is there for them. Anything that we completed is there. Here's everything we studied in Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4, 5, it goes on. But I really liked having the homework folder when we were in session because, the parents knew, let's look there first. Their homework was posted every week. And so they knew when they got home, their kid was going to have to look in their homework folder and their parents knew how to find it. And then after the homework assignment was completed, I would move it, I would change, I would edit the topic to go in whatever unit it really belonged in. So that way when it came time to study for the test, they would know, you know, this is going to be something I need to study. If I just left it in the homework folder, they wouldn't know to study it for their unit 1 test because it's not in unit 1. Trying to think. Let me see. So organizing folders. Do you guys know, does anybody want to see where, how to send out an assignment so that each student has their own copy to edit? Do you guys know how to do that?
Well, since somebody's beginning, like we should see that.
Okay.
Because
All right,
Julie's
so
going to start.
I'm going to create an assignment real quick. So I'm in this is my stream, and this is where there's going to be reminders for stuff coming up due. So my kids are done right now, so there's nothing coming up due for them, but it would remind them that they have homework that's due the next day, or it remind them that they have like this classwork assignment that's due. So that's really nice. So always give a due date. But if I want to assign something, I'm going to go ahead and go to classwork, click create. I'm going to create an assignment. And I should think what I should assign. I can't spell when I'm like in front of people. Okay, I'm sure I spelled that. I think it's fine. Okay, so then I would always include instructions right here for how to do it. And then you could create a document from here, but I work out of my Drive or like out of Google Slides or something. So I'm just going to add something that I already have created that's saved to my Google Drive. So I would go to add Google Drive, and then let me search for the assignment that I want. Let me see my Drive. Looking for unit 1. There we go. Okay, so this is a digital notebook that I created for them, and I want them to be able to edit it. So I'm going to, let's see, this little box is in my way again. Add. Okay, so the way that I have it right now, it just will make it so students will be able to view that file, but they won't be able to edit it on their own. You can do that if you want and just explain to the students that they're going to have to go to file and then make a copy, but that's just extra steps. And so you could do it like that, or you have another choice. You can do students can edit the file. You have to be careful with this one. If you're assigning it to a small group of kids, then that would be fine if you want them to all work together. But that means every student that you assign this to is going to be able to edit that same file. So you're going to have people fighting, she deleted my thing, or he messed up my picture, she changed the background on everybody's slide, you know, so be careful with that. I do occasionally do that for group work, but with this quarantine, I'm still figuring out how they can work together when each home has different expectations for classwork. So I like to use make a copy for each student. So I'm going to hit make a copy for each student. And then let me move this Zoom box again. When I assign it, everybody's going to get their own copy. So let's see. I'm going to assign it in our test class just because I don't want all my students to get an email that I made an assignment. I'm going to have the due date be about a week from now. It's a really big notebook. All right, now here's the key. This is how you keep things really organized for your kids. I've talked to a lot of teachers who, after they're done studying something, they'll delete it all out of their Google Classroom so that it doesn't get too overloaded with information and the students can find stuff easier. I never delete anything. My kids have to take exams at the end of the quarter or at the end of the semester, and I want them to have access, whether they'll use it or not. I want them to have access to everything that we did so that they can learn from it and study it, and also it's documentation. So when a parent wants to, debate why they got the grade that they got and it's over the summer, I never delete anything ever. So I like to just keep it organized. That way I don't have to worry about deleting it. So this is a unit 1. So I have not set up topics for that unit 1, for that test class that I just created. But since I already have all these topics that I'm using for my other classes, it'll let me reuse those topics. So that's really nice. So I'm going to click on Unit 1, Rebirth and Reinvention, which is actually, yeah, I mean, that's not what my ancient civilization would go into, but that's okay. So let's see, you can assign it to more than one class. You can assign it to all of your classes. In this case, yeah, I guess I am going to assign it to that first class. That's the classroom that I'm in. I'm in one of my students' classrooms. So it's fine. I'll delete it and I'll be like, sorry, kids, ignore that. I'm sure they're not checking their email. They're done with school. So then I could hit assign. So I'm going to do that. Fine. I think I did everything that I wanted to do. There's also an option to like schedule when you want it to be assigned. So let's say you work at midnight when all your kids are sleeping. You obviously don't want to be emailing kids at midnight, so you can schedule it to like go out at 8 a.m. or something like that. So there we go. All right, so now I'm going to go to Unit 1. There's my assignment. And so I'm going to open that and let you guys see what I see. View assignment. Every student, it looks like I only assigned it to a few kids unintentionally. If I had assigned it to everyone, then every student would have a copy. So I'm actually going to go back to that assignment. I want to edit it. I want everybody to have a copy, which is good. You guys will see how you can edit things. Edit. All students. Looks like it was all students. Being funky, I guess. All right, let me go to view assignment. I don't know, maybe they left my classroom already. No, but when I can click on their work, when I open it, I can see that this child, then again, hasn't done it yet, which is fine. But if he's working on it right now, then I can see what he has started and how much further he has to. I can see it in real time. I can see that Ben's cursor is right here and he's typing on it. The other thing I really like about this is if they are working in groups, I can look at the version history to see who's contributing what. So I can see if Amy did all the work on her own, or if like Alex didn't do any of it, or if they're doing things equally. And you do that by just going to File, Version History, which, let me move this Zoom box. File, Version History, see Version History, and then it would show me who all has done what. So I really like that. Let me click out of Ben's work. And okay, so I'm back to our classwork, which is like our digital binder. And they can jump to, let's say we're in Unit 7, it's toward the end of the year. There's no reason for them to have to scroll down and look like this. So they know that they can just click on Unit 7, it'll bring them right to that unit, or Unit 5. What else did I want to show you guys? Organized folders. Each kid gets a copy. One more thing, and I don't want to keep you guys too long, but I do want to show you, this is new, Google Meet. I think if you have Google Classroom, then you have Google Meet, which is, an alternate to Zoom. At first, we were allowed to use Zoom, but we're actually not allowed to use Zoom anymore. So let me see here. If you go back to the stream at the top, before I tell you about Google Meet, you have a class code. So you can share this code with students right here. Just copy, paste it, send them an email. And when they go to Google Classroom, you know how you guys hit that little plus sign to create a class? They would hit that little plus sign to join a class and put in that code. And then this is our official, I didn't make it, but this is our official Google Meet link. And so they just added this a few weeks ago to Google Classroom. Every Google Classroom that you have set up has its own link, which is really nice because at first I did not like using Google Meet because kids could go into my Google Meet classroom even without me there. Like after the class was over, they could go in and carry on and like cheat on their assignments, which I know they could do that anyway, with maybe another way, but I didn't want to be the one providing, the means for them to do that. Also, I just worried about, cyberbullying or, things happening in my classroom without me there. My supervisor actually thought that I was too paranoid and I need to leave that kind of stuff to the parents. But it's my name on that Google Classroom. And so it just really made me uncomfortable. But when Google Classroom added Google Meet, it does away with that. They can't go in this link unless I'm in there. So I tell them in our weekly announcement and on our weekly assignment that I will post that I'll be there at 4:00. And I would get there like a couple minutes early. And then I kick them all out before I exit, and then I can close it and I know they won't be able to enter again. But you do have to kick them out first. If you just leave before them, they can stay and hang out. So, that's up to you. Some people didn't care about that, but I did. But in order to get this Google Meet link to show up, you need to go to settings, which is in the upper right-hand corner right here. Go to settings. Let me see. Oh, this is important. Make it so only teachers can post or comment. It's not that we don't want to hear from the kids, but they'll be like, what up? And they'll be like 50 what ups before they get to your assignment. And so your assignment needs to always be the thing at the top. And so tell them they'll have to, chat in our Google Meet when we have our meeting. You can also, if you want to give them a place to chat, create a discussion question under classwork so that they can chat there, but it doesn't need to clog up your stream. So make it so only teachers can post or comment. It does not default to that. You have to change it to that. Let's see. During the quarantine, changed it so that my classwork did not show up on the stream. My stream was just getting too clogged up with all of my announcements and all of my assignments. So my stream is strictly for my announcements. And then I remind them in the announcement, go to your Unit 5 folder in Google Classroom to access this assignment. And so that doesn't default to that either. You can show, you can have it so all of your assignments pop up in the stream, which is what I used to do, but I changed it during this quarantine so that only my announcements are on the stream, not the assignments, but I remind them to go to their classwork folder to get it. Let me see. Okay, so this is the Google Meet area. I have it so that Google Meet, that link is visible to students in only one of my classes. The reason for that is, so I turned it off in the other classes. The reason for that is I don't want my Block 2 class, my Block 3 class, and my Block 4 class to have 3 different places to go to, because I'm not going to teach it 3 different times from home. I only want to teach it one time, and I want to teach it in one room. So my second block, Google Classroom, shows the link. However, I have that link turned off for my 3rd and 4th class, but I copy and paste it and put it into the announcement and put it into the assignment so that they'll meet me in my Block 2 Google Class. Does that make sense? I don't want 3 different chat rooms. I want one chat room. And so if you have more than one class, then you want to turn it off in the other classes, unless, I know some schools are having Block 2 is at 10 o'clock, Block 3 is at 11 o'clock, Block 4 is at 12. We're not doing that. I only have to teach it one time. I only have one meet with my kids a day. Let me see here. I think that's all. But then if you made any changes, then you'd want to save that. So I'm going to show you what it looks like in my other classes since they don't have the meet. Let me turn this back on for Block 2. I don't have a Block 1 class. That's why it starts with. So then if I go back to my dashboard, I can go to Block 4, and you can see this is my Block 4 Google Meet link, but it's not visible to my students. You can see there's a slash through the eyeball because I don't want my kids to see that. I want them to just go to my announcement where I copy pasted Block 2's link right there. I'm going to stop sharing for a second just to get some feedback from you guys. Ooh, I see there's a bunch of stuff in the chat, but I couldn't see it while my screen was shared.
That was a really good tip about only turning that Meets link on once. That's why I didn't use it this year, because I didn't want to have 6 different periods. And I didn't think about that. That was a great solution.
I have one thing that I want to show you. I didn't show you what I was really excited about yet. So I'm going to share my screen again, and then I will stop to get some more feedback from you. So I saw this tip just like on a Facebook group where you create an image in Google Slides of your digital classroom. And so I'm going to hit present here so you can see it. So I think next year or the start of the fall, I'm not going to have just that bland looking announcement every Monday. Instead, I'll post one of these pictures daily, or I'll post maybe a picture for the week. And on my whiteboard, I'll have like Monday, where they can click to go to the assignment, Tuesday where they can click. I just feel like I'm going to be teaching incoming 6th graders in the fall, and they need a classroom, and this is as good as it gets, but if anyone's ever interested in how I did that, I actually have a YouTube link that I use. So, I mean, I didn't come up with this idea, but you just add clip art until you get it to where you want to look like, and you can, put stuff behind other stuff, but I can show you guys how to do that sometime if you like. But I think I'm going to switch to posting this image, like an image with the date on it. And I'll put like a description, like here's May 21st classroom, and I might like change things up in my classroom every once in a while to have to do with whatever we're teaching. Like if I'm teaching ancient civilizations, I'll put some artifacts out on a shelf. Oh my God, I'm such a nerd. Like I'm just thinking through all this, like while I'm telling you guys, like I think there's a lot of possibilities. I don't know how to make a Bitmoji. I've been trying to do that all day, but the video that I saw, it had like a Bitmoji that really looked like the teachers, sitting in the chair, standing at the board, and I haven't figured that out yet, but I've had a lot of fun decorating my classroom. So there's that. But these links are live. So this was just a week that we had, like a special week where we watched a movie instead of doing typical classwork. And so they can click here and it will take them to where I edited the naked butt out of this movie, so that they don't have to watch that. But anyway, so here's Monday's clip. And these are the discussion questions that we would go over. And so in my classroom, I put the link to our Google Meet room. And so they can click here on the Google Meet link and meet with me, which I don't know why that's not working right now. Probably because I don't have it scheduled. But anyway, so they'll be able to click on the links on my whiteboard to be able to complete the assignments. I just feel like it's more personal, like it has a little bit more of a personal touch. But I was really excited about that. Do you guys have any other questions? I know we've been on here for an hour, so I don't want to keep anybody, but if you have
Did you guys talk about the to-do list? Because I found that like a few weeks ago and I absolutely love it.
The to-do list in my Google Classroom?
Mm-hmm.
I can go back to that.
I was just wondering if you guys talked about it because I missed a little bit and came back.
We did, and I was saying that, here, let me find one. So this would be, is this what you're talking about?
Nope.
Nope.
So if you go up into the top left corner.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
3 little lines. Nope.
Here?
Higher. Nope. Very top left where it says 4th Black, 7th grade. Top left, 3 little lines.
Oh, 3 little lines.
Yep. If you click on that and you click on to do,
Mm-hmm.
it'll pull up all your classes, but let's say just if you pick one of your more recent classes, I found this as a way to grade assignments and see who has turned stuff in.
Okay.
And so this is a really easy way. So like you have like that week of 5-4, you have 11 kids that you have turned in, but you haven't graded yet. And so I found this to be a great way to quickly glance through and see if anything new has been turned in instead of having to click on each through the classroom stream.
Okay, so that is helpful. I don't really use this to-do list because I have so many kids, and I guess this is not good. I haven't trained them well enough. I have so many that never click turn in, but they did the work and I can see it attached. So when I am grading, let me go to a classroom with some classwork. I'll just click on the first kid.
Yeah.
This was group work, so not everybody did it. But when I do group work like that, they have to leave me a comment and say Aubrey turned ours in, or whoever turned theirs in, so that I know it's not that they have a 0. So I'm going to go to one that is turned in. Hold on, let me go back this way. This one's turned in. So I like to just go through, and this is probably a bad example because it was group work, but I like to just use these arrows and go through and grade it that way. And it takes me through everyone's work. I'm waiting until I get to another one that's turned in. Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that a lot if it's like my first time around, but I've had kids that have been turning things in from like weeks ago. So
yeah,
I found that.
So I was going to tell you, this is my workaround for that. And I do have my kids very well trained for this. If I have graded something, if you already have a grade and it's a 0 or it's a 100 or it's a 90, whatever, if you want to redo something or you turn something in late, it is your responsibility to email me and say, hello, Ms. Rutledge, I'm really sorry for turning in this assignment late, but I did. And so would you mind going back to grade it for me? And I tell them if they want to be on my to-do list, they have to send me an email with the name of the assignment that they want me to regrade, because I'm not just sitting there waiting, checking Google Classroom constantly. Did somebody turn something in? And when I first started using Google Classroom, I was getting very frustrated with the notifications showing up on my phone. So-and-so turned this in late. So-and-so, when in actuality, maybe they did turn it in late. They had already done it and I graded it. They forgot to hit submit. So their parents got on them. So they just clicked submit. So then I'm going to check it and I'm like, but they didn't do anything. I got really frustrated with the notifications. So I told my students and I told my parents, I turned off my notifications for Google Classroom. If you want to be on my to-do list, you need to send me an email. And then it seemed to work out really well. And if they did something and never sent me an email, I wouldn't regrade it. And I would tell them, you have to let me know. Same like with the hard papers before I was digital, I would tell them, you never just put something on my desk. It will be lost. I promise you, I will lose it. And so you need to say, Ms. Rutledge, I have this here for you. Would you mind regrading it for me and hand it to me? Yeah, so I mean, that is a good idea. If that works for you, that's what it's there for. And I'm sure it works for most people. But for me, I got really sick of all the notifications and I don't want to just keep going. Did Joseph do it yet? Let me check. No, he still didn't do it. Did he do it now? I'm not going to do that. And so I tell them they have to email me. But that's what it's there for. And so obviously it works for a lot of people.
Great. Now I have a lot of time to practice before August.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, thank you so much, Mickey, and thank you everyone for joining. We'll have our session tomorrow on HyperDocs at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Let me know
you.
if you have any questions.
Have a good one.